Are we ready to rumble, tech folk? Yeah. Okay, we are here. We are ready to rumble. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Saturday of Convergence. You are at the panel in Backyard Native Pollinator Gardens. We're going to talk about plants. It's going to be a great time. My name is Katie. I use she, her pronouns. I go by K-Train online, and I am your moderator for the morning. And we'll do some introductions, talk about why you're here, what do you love about plant stuff, how you got into it. And I'll start with Saz.
Hi, I'm Saz, also Mdog, if you've been to CONvergence for many years like I have. I am a hobbyist. I garden in my backyard, and I have a slowly expanding prairie garden, but also a slowly expanding woodland garden in the shady part of the yard, and also a what I call a bucket bog, where I host my cold weather, northern Minnesota friendly carnivorous plants.
Yeah. That's so delightful.
They're awesome.
I'm Arthur Kneeland. I'm an instructor at UW Stout. I am an agricultural entomologist, and that has led me into a lot of sustainable agriculture, food stuff, and the big box of mess we call sustainability, or trying not to kill ourselves.
Hi, I am Springyboii, aka Nettle, or Tanya Saloff. I use they, them pronouns, and I am a gardening and horticulture educator with Northern Gardener, aka the Minnesota Horticultural Society. I run a blog there called Room to Grow about urban gardening, and I also am very passionate about native wildflowers.
Morning, everyone. My name is James. I work in natural resources for Minneapolis Parks. I got into the backyard version of it when I finally was able to buy a house, and it just had nothing but lawn, and that could not stand it, so I had to start getting rid of it.
Amazing. I got into native plants also when I bought a house, and was like, ooh, I want more bees. And I kind of just started, and then just kind of went into a whole rabbit hole. Yeah. So our first question, how would you say if someone wants to get into putting a pollinator garden in their backyard, or front yard, I suppose, how would they get started? What tips would you say for someone who wants to get started? We'll start over with James.
I'd say kind of start a little bit small. They can be a lot of work, at least to get it established, both from suppressing your turf to controlling invasives to actually getting things to germinate and grow. So you don't really want to get more than you can manage once you get things going. And also recognize that it's a long-term project, so it might not look the way you want immediately after you start establishing it, but just kind of keep working at it and let things kind of flow.
I would say if you want to start a native garden, you can't just, buy a random seed mix and throw it and hope stuff grows and, be done with it. You gotta start with doing some good research. You gotta find out what kind of soil you have in your backyard, take some samples, stuff like that, check your lighting, and decide what kind of plants you're really looking for in your yard. And from there, you can actually, once you have your foundational research started, then you can actually start making a good garden.
One of the things about all of this is that there's a spectrum, right? So there's low key, get some increase your diversity to people who are truly insane about this stuff, hyper local plants, because we eradicated all the excellent diversity of North America through agriculture, right? 95% of the prairie is toast, and so all of those plants are gone. Our great grandparents killed them, and so do everything you can, right? This is an act of anti-colonialism, right? Kill the lawn, because the lawn is something that was foisted on us by the British, and those jerks live on a wet island and grass grows great there. We don't live in that place, and so your lawn is this assault against nature, right? There's one thing that lives in it, and maybe if you're bad at caring for your lawn, you have 5 things, right? but your lawn is evil. And so in order to overcome this evil, you need to understand another evil, which is your local zoning and the rules, right? And so I just put some rocks around my lawn, and then now it's a garden. And they don't get to tell me what plants I have in my garden, or how tall they are. And so that's a great, so, you definitely have to figure out how to make it work for you, because some people, like, emotionally, not having a lawn is gonna be really hard for you, because, like, you learned this culturally from your parents, and right? This whole decolonizing thing is like a deep trauma issue. And so don't like hurt yourself by either like physically by carrying big rocks around, or emotionally by like, you know, like abandoning everything that your parents taught you.
I would say start small, and it, kind of going off what Arthur said, do some internal research, like how much effort are you able and willing to put in, whether that's physical effort or the financial commitment of going out and buying plants or seeds or time. Like, you don't have to completely kill your lawn right away. If you live on like a new development or something, or an apartment, you could start by getting a couple plants, like, and if that's what you can do, that's what you can do, and that's great. Like, start there. The other thing I want to say is do a light assessment, like before, like how much sun, how many hours of sun do you get in a day before you go out and start planting your garden, because you're gonna want a plant that's really cool and interesting, and it is not gonna like the light conditions in your yard or your porch or your balcony or whatever.
These are all very good suggestions. I had a thought, I lost it. I'll mention it, but it becomes relevant later.
How many of you guys have like extra plants that you can give people?
Me, I brought seeds with.
So it's like, find nerds.
Yes.
They plant nerds love to share, right? Because it's like, I need to cut this apart in order to make it. So like find the plant people, like even look around your neighborhood at people who have like really amazing, and not people who are out there every year with like plugs and stuff. Like, that's a different type of garden. You want the person who's got the chaos pile. They will happily give you bits and pieces of their chaos.
Our chaos gremlins love to share their chaos.
A good place to look if you're looking for starting is there's like plant sharing Facebook groups or like plant swap. Also next door, at least in my area, people will be like, hey, I have way too much of this plant. Does anyone come take it on next door? Just miscellaneous tips, yes.
Yes. I remember what.
Infinite black-eyed Susans right now.
Me too. If anyone want to come over and have some, please take them. I remember what my thought was. The first year of your little garden spot is going to be the biggest year, and then as time goes on, it'll just start taking care of itself because it's native to the region. So don't get discouraged if the first year is a lot of work, because if you put that work in at the beginning, it'll get easier. Later on, my first pollinator garden, I don't really touch other than to weed it. I've had it for 5 years, and it just does its own thing.
It's one of my favorite part about prairie plants is that they're actually best at outcompeting other weeds if there's a low nutrient situation, right? So if there's not enough nutrients, then those prairie plants are gonna like eradicate everything else, because that's what they're adapted to, right? And dandelions are adapted to like other stuff. And actually they're pretty good at that too. Let's not talk about dandelions. But yeah, and so, our native prairie plants will do really well in your like blasted wasteland. And if you put nutrients in there, then other stuff will be able to outcompete them. And so
this ties into the next question I had for everyone, which is good plants for beginners, because you want those quick, easy wins to feel like you can do this. So what are your recommendations for good plants for someone who's just starting, who needs that quick win? We'll start back over here.
I already mentioned it, black-eyed Susans. Any Rudbeckias, they are really, really tenacious. Monarda is another really good one.
Monarda.
Monarda, all the way to bee balm. It also really spreads aggressively.
Money at Menarda.
Also, just like, you know, we all want the forms, we all want the flowers, but just native grasses too. They have, you know, deep roots. They can be really resilient. They can spread pretty well. So, you know, it gives you a pretty good balance in your garden overall. So I think, you know, grasses, and then kind of your aggressive pioneer type species are where you really want to get started.
So I guess I'm a bit of a Monarda evangelizer, even though, like, yes, it is an aggressive spreader if you are starting with a new prairie garden, or even if you have like an established one, sometimes you do need to like cut it back, but it's so easy to grow and it attracts so many pollinators. There's a reason why one of its common names is bee balm. It's like bees love it, and so do butterflies and everything. You can also make tea from it, but you already mentioned that. I think another good one that is pretty, I think, self-explanatory is echinaceas, or purple coneflower, any kind of coneflower. Those are really, really easy and low effort with high yield results. At least in my yard, I also get like, not just of course butterflies and bees, but finches and stuff like that. I lost my train of thought, so I'm going to yield to the next person.
I would go with anything that has the word weed after it. Did my mic stop working?
Do you want to?
Yeah. These things are really good at picking up everything. So anything that has the word weed after it, that works real well. Milkweeds are kind of a problem, right? They have a deep root that they spread by, and so like you kill that thing at the top, you're not really harming the plant much at all, and that's like that's great, right? Especially if you're doing it for like pollinators, right? You're gardening for insects, and so anything that has the word weed after it is probably a pretty good bet. I'm trying to think of like what has done really well in our garden. Yeah.
It's early.
Yeah. So I agree with everything everybody just said. All of these are great. Joe Pye weed is another one. I would add to that anise hyssop or Agastache funiculum. Agastache.
I don't know
That sounds correct to me.
I don't
Okay,
know
thank
the
you.
scientific name. So.
Yeah, a big one for bumblebees. They love it. It is also very aggressive, and if you are doing, I would recommend planting these aggressive plants together. So do some, they'll compete with each other and they'll keep each other in check, and then you don't have to worry about it as quite so much. So yeah, do one of each of those things.
I've had good luck with anise hyssop keeping rabbits away because it's a mint.
Yeah.
It's a mint plant and they don't like the smell, so that's a good rabbit deterrent.
Yeah.
That I've found.
It's a native mint. It's in the mint family.
What was that called? Anise hyssop, or what was the scientific?
Agastache funiculum.
And that's like any of the mints really are great. Like even some of the non-native ones, like oregano, it's just like a problem in my garden. And but it's also so I just killed this huge patch of it. And last year I remember sitting out there just like watching all the weird stuff that was coming into play in the oregano. And so I'd say go find some mints and just know that they are like a real problem. And you know, you've got pitchforks, so you can just kill them when you want.
I see we've got a couple questions / comments. I saw a few. I see you. I thought I saw another one, but I'll start with Red X.
First of all, what I did is the lazy way of doing it, which is I went through and I identified everything in my yard and then removed all the stuff that wasn't native. So
That works.
had amazing luck with woodland violets. The entire backyard is now woodland violets because those grow in really well in the shade. Also, bee balm. It's used in Native American cooking. It's edible.
It's delicious.
It's really good. Violets are also tasty. I like eating violets. I'm gonna start over here and then go over there. Yellow tic-tac-toe.
So, more than 20 years ago, we turned both the front and backyard into native gardening and small Minneapolis lot. Did it without knowing much of anything. The person who just exited mentioned soil assessments. Can you talk about what you're looking for and what that means?
Oh, we can absolutely talk about dirt. Yeah, let's definitely talk about dirt.
No, dirt and soil do not equally.
Well, yeah. Soil and yes, thank you. I'm not a scientist. Soil.
Soil.
Well, so
farther.
your extension office should offer some relatively cheap mechanism of doing a soil test. If you get a soil test kit, you go out and you get a couple of samples, shake them up in a bag, send it off to the lab, and they'll give you a full soil workup, which is pretty technical. It's got like all the trifecta of what's in soil, as well as your organic matter levels and stuff
What
like
does
that.
that teach you?
Well, it teaches you where you're starting, right? And so you guys have seen the map of Minnesota that they use where it's got that swoop through the middle of it. That's actually an ecological map of the state, that we have like the northern forest at the top and the southern prairie below, and that's what that, and then the tension zone in between. And so those are gonna have different soil types, right? And Minnesota has a lot of complex soil types because of the glacial blah, blah, blah. And then Wisconsin is all like really exciting sands and things that are over there. And so each of these is going to support a different population of plants, right? So if you're down south Minnesota, you've got this heavy, deep clay. It just like soaks up water like crazy. And so stuff that thrives in the sands up in the Nemadji River Valley over Wisconsin is not going to do well in southern Minnesota. Right, just because of it's like ecology, right? The soil is like the base material. You know how all humans like to eat different food? You know what I mean? Like that plants are exactly the same, and so you have to figure out what the food you have there is in order to match it, because going ahead and like, I want to have this ecotype in my yard, and then trying to like change what you have in your yard into that's an expert level action.
It's expensive too.
A really good resource to see kind of like to really localize what your native plant community would have been is the Minnesota DNR puts out a publication called The Native Plant Communities of Minnesota, and it can show you kind of what historically were kind of the plant palettes of your area. Take it with a little bit of a grain of salt, especially if you're in the city. Like, there's a lot of disturbed soils. So, just because that's what it was historically doesn't mean that's what development has had it be. But, it's a good place to at least start thinking about it too.
Can you say the name of that again?
Minnesota Native Plant Communities. There's a couple of books based on the different regions of the state, from prairies to the Laurentian mixed forest to the northern forests and the woodlands. So that's all available online for free.
Any other soil? Did you have something to say?
Yeah. So a couple of key things. If one thing you want to understand is the drainage level of your soil, how quickly it will drain water away, and that'll affect what kind of plants you can put in. The beginner level of soil assessment is drainage and pH. You do not need to do the full agricultural extension test. You can do that with your hands in a bucket of water. So you dig a little hole, put some water in it, nice and equal, grab it in your hands and squeeze it and see what comes out. It's gonna poop out, right? See what comes out. If it is a long, like silky ribbon, like clay, you have a lot of clay in your soil, it is gonna be a slow drainer. If it globs out like sand, it drains pretty quickly. And you can just get some pH paper at the hardware store and find out what's going on in terms of acid. Like, you can be very basic about it. Hey.
Springyboii, did you want to say anything about soil before we go to the next question?
I would love to. I'm so sorry. I'm getting over a cold right now. I'm afraid if I talk too long, I could keep talking again.
Worries.
I just want to echo the importance of the Native Plants Community website. I really like that personally myself. You can, I think, put in your zip code for that, and it's really easy to find like exactly where it is. And it's not just like, a lot of people see those maps where it's like, yeah, it's coniferous here, it's deciduous here, it's prairie here. It has like very specific ecoregions that are like micro ecosystems. It's really neat and cool. So check it out. You'll figure out what kind of plants you should plant in your yard in general. And then you have to, of course, narrow that down by doing your soil test to figure out what would actually thrive there.
That's a good question. Thank you for the soil question. It's really important. I'm going to keep going. Sean, just because I know people.
So I have a question about if we're continuing to do bare roots when planting, and if there are other newer concerns that I haven't learned about. Because I think that was with like infestation from plants and understanding that you can't get like you don't have a bare root plant or soil nearby, how to treat the ones that you get from like a Menards or a Home Depot so you don't end up impacting your yard or something.
So the question, if you couldn't hear, was about bare root planting. And I'll turn that to the panel.
Yeah, I think a lot of times you can like wash off. Like if you can usually wash off most of that. I think one of the things you have to be really careful of is drying out those roots, especially the fine fibrous roots. I know, like depending on if you're talking about like forbs or if you're talking about like shrubs or something, you can do different things. There are dips you can do to maintain moisture while you're trying to plant. I've heard varying things on the success of those, both that they can be helpful to maybe hold moisture, but also they can kind of pull that moisture away from and not make it accessible to the roots. So I'm not going to straight up recommend it, but it's an option. But yeah, I think one of the things you're really trying to be careful of is things like jumping worms, which are, you know, they spread in everything. You're not going to see the eggs. Yeah, it's really worth being careful about because they will really disrupt your soil.
So don't trust the corporate scum. They don't give a fuck about you. I didn't say that. They don't care about you or your garden, and so all of their plants are infested with everything. Insects above, worms below. Just is not safe. You also maybe shouldn't trust your neighbors or your municipalities. That's a great place to get jumping worms is from your municipal compost piles and stuff like that. And so if you want to avoid invasive species, you kind of got to be real careful. And like plant invasive species in some ways are way easier to deal with than the animal invasive species because, you know, they're easier to eradicate. You get that jumping worm. Do we have any good effective strategies?
My understanding is there's really no treatments for any of the invasive worms, including earthworms, which are not native to our region of Minnesota either. So.
No vermiculture.
Do you have a bare root planting ideas?
I'm gonna be so real. I have experience of doing natives from seed and natives from like started plants. I do not have experience starting natives from bare roots. I have.
Can you speak closer to the mic?
Sorry, yeah, I don't have experience with starting natives from bare roots, so I'm just going to defer to my fellow panelists on this one.
Yeah, I would recommend looking for places that specifically mention jumping worm for their bare roots. So people who are trying to control that by washing them off and looking, inspecting regularly and stuff. I have only found that in native plant nurseries so far, so maybe good news. But yeah, I like starting from seeds. I like watching them grow. So
I think that native plant nerds are pretty attentive to the jumping worm thing because I don't want it, and so then we're paying attention.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, I like that. Like looking at
Yeah. In general, native plant nurseries that are for sure native plant nurseries are a great place to go.
we have so many good ones in Minnesota.
We have so many. Blue asterisk, you can have your hand up for one.
Yeah, two questions. One, when it comes to, going for again, more of a native style pollinator garden, if you don't want the horribly aggressive Monardas or some of the, or the Agastaches, Monarda is great for hummingbirds. Their flowers are designed for hummingbirds more than bees. The bee balm is from, I guess you would use it as a poultice for bee stings. But any recommendations on that end? And then as to soil, also pay attention to the plants that are, or the trees that are around you. Your silver maples are horrible especially if you're in the Andover sand plain, where your soil drain, you can't get flooded out, but the silver maples will steal all the water.
Yeah.
So, any comments on either of those?
Comments on trees or I think the first question was if you don't want bee balm, other things
Well,
that are
more well-behaved, either native
More
or native
well-behaved than bee
bars, things that aren't going to take over the entire bed.
Okay. I'll start over with Seth.
Yeah, I would say look for the later succession plants. So the one that comes to mind is called Indian plantain. Is an arnoglossum species. That one I have had challenges starting from seed. You may want to get that one bare root from a plant nursery. It's a really beautiful plant. It has this gorgeous white multi-flowered head when it comes up. So yeah, I would recommend that one.
Yeah, and so that's the ecological succession. Like a lot of the plants that we've talked about as the starters. What? I think it is. So there's ecological succession, and the starters are all set up to go into what we've started talking about, go into a burnt ecosystem or something like that, and then pop off, right? And so then the later succession plants are the ones that will come up 2, 3, 4, 10 years down the road and thrive slowly in the system, right? And so those are the more sensitive, more delicate, more ecosystem specific plants. And so those are the ones that are going to be harder to deal with, but aren't going to get everywhere, right? And so that would be how you can kind of find what it is, because like my brain doesn't pull up lists of these things because they're different in each place.
Oh, yeah.
And then as to the trees, in general, oak trees, just like that's it. They're amazing for the ecosystem. Kill every ginkgo you see. Just slay them all. There's a great trick. Trees can't handle copper. Kills them. And so that's a great way to eradicate the ginkgos in your region. The reason to kill ginkgos is that they're ecologically a zero. There's nothing that participates with them in the ecosystem. Whereas an oak tree has like 100 caterpillars that feeds on it, which then feeds all the birds. And so then you get this ecological cycling that occurs in addition to everybody shitting on the ground, pooping. And then the problem is I swear and then I'll start swearing about swearing, and it's a whole cycle. So yeah, oak trees.
Your potty mouth is an ecological cycle.
Springyboii.
Yeah, up ginkgos, always hate ginkgos. Also, they're stinky. I'm not joking. They smell so bad, especially like when the fruit is rotting on the ground. That's not an answer to the question. I just wanted a pile dog.
This is now we hate ginkgos panel.
Ginkgos panel. Yeah, oak trees are really great. I would say that if you want to do an oak, you should find out like what's a good oak for your area. I've heard people know red oaks versus white oaks, but you got different kinds within those. You got tin oaks, swamp oaks, all that type of stuff, and depending on your soil type, drainage, stuff like that, and what already is in the area. If you're looking, I guess, for a new tree planting, that's something that's important to be aware of. Otherwise, I kind of lost track of what the original question was, actually.
Can I caveat on the oak thing? Where climate change is coming on like a freight train, and so and oak trees are really long-lived, and so you want to pick trees that have look at the range of the tree, and look for things that are growing down in Texas and here, so that you can get things that will be tolerant of the conditions that are arriving, because it's a bummer to have an oak only live to be 40 when the thing can live to be, what was the one that just passed away, like 1,500, I think?
Major
That is a
oak,
really important
yeah,
comment,
about
yeah.
1,000, 1,200.
1,200.
I would say in general that also would apply for a lot of like native plantings. Recommending now like planting stuff that even if it wasn't originally native to Minnesota and with the prior ecosystems, because of the changing grow zones and hardiness zones, stuff that was originally native like south to like Kansas, stuff like that, you can now start planting here. Of course, you gotta check, especially if you're in like certain like northern parts of the state, but it's wiser to plant stuff that's more from the south than from the north. Like vague in general, of course with exceptions.
James.
Yeah, so just kind of echoing a little bit, the patience is your best bet for getting better diversity in your native prairies. Like as you get growth and decay cycles, it also just kind of amends your soil over time. So, you know, more things will thrive in those more amended, more mature soils. For like oaks and things, another benefit is like their leaves don't break down nearly as fast. So if you have like maples and some of the other ones, they get like decay really fast. But your oaks are more adapted for like the drier prairie environments too, especially the white oak species, which also creates really good habitat for like overwintering pollinators because it's really stable and it stays kind of dry and there's more ecological niches for things. Going on to the planting trees for kind of the future climate change, I also want to plug, there's a program called the Adaptive Silviculture for Climate Change Study. It is over at Crosby Farm Park in St. Paul. They have a bunch of different plots, you can go check them out, but you can also find that online. And they have like different test plots, like perfectly native genetics, the same species but with a more southern genetic, and then also like different species that are not here yet to see how they do in kind of ours. And there's really cool data, you can probably find that online. I think that's public, but either way you can check out the project and just kind of get some ideas for some novel species that might be, you know, winners in the future here in our climate.
Crosby Farm is a great park if you haven't been there before.
It's gorgeous.
As a St. Paulite, I'm biased, but I think it's one of the
It is.
It's so
As someone who works for Minneapolis parks, I will still plug Crosby.
Blue X.
Thanks. Also, I would be willing to walk around with the mic for questions if that would be helpful, and not
Thank
talk
you.
on the mic if that is helpful after my question.
Yeah, for sure.
So I established a native garden in St. Paul, Summit Hill. It is beautiful. It is 4 years old. It is finally doing all the cool things. It's so great and perfect, and I'm moving.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And the new little bungalow I'm moving to, they really thought that oxeye daisies are so pretty, and phlox are so pretty, and I have to kill everything. I am wondering, we've got about a month and a half. Can I transplant any of my shit?
Yes.
How do I do that? What am I more likely to be successful transplanting? What types of species? I pretty much, if it's a native Minnesota flower, I'd probably have it. So just give me a sense, please.
Yeah, so the question is about transplanting. What can you transplant now at this time of year? So I'll start over with James.
I think the things that you're gonna do best with are things that have kind of lots of fibrous roots. A lot of those can recover from being dug up and transplanted. I think the things that you'll struggle with are things that have more of a taproot. I think severing that a lot of times will make the plant struggle. It's really hard for them to get that back. So maybe try to collect as much seed from those as you possibly can instead of trying to get the plant itself.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna be honest, I have not tried transplanting Minnesota native before. I am a recent horticulture graduate, so this is mostly college knowledge, not practical knowledge that I'm working off of. But I find collecting seed and starting that is easier for me. But I'll defer if anyone else has.
Yeah, your spring ephemerals, anything that goes dormant in the kind of hotter months, so that's going to be May apple, bloodroot, I forget what Jacob's ladder is called, any of your iris, you might get, oh, not irises, what are the little, trout lilies. Yeah, they're so pretty. You might be okay if you've got like, what are the 3-petaled ones? Trillium, thank you. Yeah, you might get your trilliums as well. bloodroot specifically, I know transplants really easily if you can get the whole root and not break it off.
Being from out in the countryside, one of the ways to kill everything is, you know how we do silage now? Where we just have those big ass rows of stuff. Get that. It's an excellent solarizing material, so it's black on one side and white on the other. The farmers generally put it white side out, so then you flip it over, black side up, and it's an awesome solarizer. So that then imparts the energy down into the ground, which will slaughter all those weird plants you want to get rid of.
And you don't have to buy it a lot of times you can get it.
Oh yeah, don't buy it. Just go find a farmer. Find somebody who has those silage rows and get their plastic.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Did you wanna?
We don't have enough mics.
We don't have enough mics.
I
'cause
was
that
gonna
one's
steal Arthur's mic for questions.
Oh, that's valid and fair.
So-
If you're okay with that.
It looks bad, don't do that.
I'll bring it back.
We can share a microphone too.
Oh.
All right, there we go. Let's go. I still want to cover this side before I go back. So let's go to orange tic-tac-toe.
I just want to give some resource shout outs.
Oh, yes,
The
resource
Minnesota
shout-outs.
Board of Water and Soil Resources, they have a pollinator and biodiversity toolbox. They also have the Lawn to Lagoons grant program that's not running right now, but it should be running next year. And if you live in Ramsey County, I highly recommend the Ramsey County Garden Education Volunteer Program, formerly called the Ramsey County Master Gardeners. They have great classes that are free, online and in person. They got a planting with pollinators. And the weekend after Mother's Day, they have a giant plant sale with herbs, vegetables, and native plants. And that's how I got into gardening through Ramsey County. So check out your local county gardening extension programs.
Anyone do the Lawns to Lagoons grant? I did that several years ago and it was fantastic. Yeah, we got someone. I highly recommend checking that out. And even, I know there was some funding stuff, but they should be back soon. Also, if you want to bug your legislators, next year is a budget year, so bug your people to fund that program because it's a great way for people to get the financial resources to add native plants into their yard.
So what was that program?
Lawns to Lagoons, it is through Blue Thumb, through the, I forget what the acronym stands for, the Minnesota Board of Water and Soil something.
Just say Bowser.
Bowser, it's Bowser, sorry. I also work for the state, so I don't remember what acronyms stand for, but Bowser. Yeah. Yeah, they're fantastic. And even if you don't want to apply for a grant, their resources are excellent. Does anyone else here want to comment on any of that before we go to the next?
I'll just sit here and you can give me the look.
Beautiful. All right, I'll give you a look. Let's go over to green circle over there.
A super basic question from a super basic garden person.
We love it.
You mentioned at the beginning that the two things you need to look at are soil type and light levels. You gave scientific ways to figure out soil type, but is there anything to do to see how much sun per day an area gets beyond just looking at it? Are there tests? Are there schedules online you should be looking at to figure out, what is partial sun, what's full sun, what's no sun?
Arthur's ready to go. That's a good question.
Use the solar panel resources on the internet. So like, I don't know, if you can find this really cool thing where it's like a curved mirror and it shows you look down at it and it shows you all the obstacles to the sun. So you face south and look at that. And so in general, in the summertime, right, our sun is super high up. And so you go out and just look up.
Right.
And kind of like think about that arc and calculate roughly how much time you have.
Yeah, you can look at the sunrise and sunset times like online or on your weather app. That'll give you a ballpark, and then you'll have to kind of estimate like what the obstacles, the tree lines or nearby buildings or whatever. So it's not super scientific, but it'll get you close.
I would also like someone on the panel to explain the full shade, partial sun, full sun, because I struggled with that when I first started, and I'm sure other people here also don't know any of that. So if anyone wants to comment on that, I think that would be helpful.
I don't know if there's like an exact definition. I think it's kind of intentionally vague when they're selling you things. But I think generally speaking, partial sun is more sun than you think it would be.
Yeah,
Yes.
6-ish hours. Yeah. Full sun is 8 or more, and depending on what species, is more like 10.
I will mention that I think there are now guides online that you can easily look up. It'll show you the hour conversion for the different like sunlight terms, like full sun, full shade, et cetera, and that a lot of garden centers have now been moving away from using those kind of terms and like things on their packaging, and instead showing how many hours of light a day certain plants need on the plant tags. So that's really helpful. But if you find a plant that doesn't have that and you're not sure, look up how many hours is full sun online, and make sure to not look at the AI response, but like actually find something from the actual website or a accredited source.
Can I shout out resource?
Yes.
Yeah, so prairiemoon.com is a native plant nursery here in Minnesota. They're just a little south of the cities. Their website is awesome in terms of showing what are the light conditions, what's the soil drainage. I forget if they have pH on there or not, but for most plants, they will also show you a picture not only of like the little plug that you get and their flowers, but also the bare roots and what the roots look like. So you can see, is it stringy and fibrous? Is it one long, deep taproot, whatever? So that'll help give you a sense of like what you can transplant as well.
Move to our next question. Where's my, red asterisks? Red asterisks? Cool. I'll get to you in a second, red asterisks.
So as a beginner, I heard fire mentioned, and to what extent is fire necessary to keep a native garden healthy, and what should I be thinking of?
Yeah, I'm talking about that. I live in the city, I can't do it.
It's really like a weeding thing, right? So you can use, like the plants do benefit from the sort of like carbon turnover of the fire, but like it inhibits the problematic things, and so you can do that with just stabbing the plants. Because like I think about a prairie that we put on campus that we haven't gotten to burn, and the weedy elms are all over it, and so there's all these woody species that come up that mess with the prairie system, and so you can just kill those manually, right? And so a lot of like if you think about like larger, there are benefits that are outside of weeding to burning, but like if you live in the city, that's hard. Is it legal to get one of those gas propane things and just incinerate?
It's called a flame mower. I don't know if it's legal. And
It might be county specific, because I know in the more urban counties, there's some permits you have to get if you're gonna do burning.
You can flame weed, you can't burn.
Okay, you can flame weed, you can't burn, but definitely check your county and city ordinances, because yeah, there's a lot of funky stuff.
Be safe, get your fire prevention, suppression, everything all ready to go before you do that. But
so just for some background, working for Minneapolis, my team is the one who does a lot of the prescribed burns of the prairies and things. So we handle this a lot. If you are in the position to burn your native prairie, one thing I would also suggest is to vary the timing. I think a lot of people think of it as like a spring thing, but you can also really suppress your cool season grasses if you do that. So if you want to have more variety of plants and you're able to burn your prairie, do so both in the spring and fall on different staggered timings, just to allow more things to establish themselves. Another thing besides, it does do some invasive species control, but it's also not like a panacea for controlling weeds. There are a lot of invasives that just love it when you burn your prairies. So things like sweet clover, crown vetch will just come roaring back. It is But one of the things it will also do is it does cycle nutrients, but it also lets more sunlight get to your soil, so you get better germination of the seeding plants that you have. And one other thing is if you do burn, especially in the fall, that's a wonderful time to put out more seed because you have just excellent light that spring. A lot of your seed is going to want to cold stratify over the winter before it's going to germinate. So fall burn followed by fall seeding is a really good combo.
Yeah. There are a few species that like fire-related, like physics in order to germinate. A lot of people have researched non-fire ways to get them to germinate. So you have things like a hot water treatment, or some people use like liquid smoke while they're stratifying. Look online. It's going to be really dependent on the species you're going for and what they want.
What's in the liquid smoke that makes it work? Like
I
use that
don't
food
know.
and I'm like, what?
I don't know. I know a couple of people who absolutely swear by it. There's a gardener down in Texas who, Texas is also very fire prone, but some of the legumes are fire dependent. And they're like, oh yeah, just hot water, liquid smoke, you're good to go. And I don't know. I can't, yeah, it's not. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it is, yeah. Yeah, just what you put in your barbecue sauce.
Yeah.
I don't know the science behind it or if it's a placebo effect, but yeah.
I thought it was only good for pork chops.
Yeah, it's good for so many. It's also good for pork chops.
Yeah, it sounds like a very Texas thing to me.
Yeah, it does.
We'll do insects in a little bit. I want to get to a couple more questions. Red X.
Shouting out an incredibly nerdy resource, the Marshner map. Basically, in the 1930s, there was a guy.
Can you repeat that into the mic?
Okay. Shouting out a resource, the Marshner map. In the 1930s, there was a guy who went through all of the 1800 survey notes for Minnesota and put together a map of what the original plant communities were pre and in early colonization. Bear in mind climate change, but you can access it through the DNR. It's called the Marshner map.
How is that spelled?
Hang on, I have it.
If you know off the top of your head. Or if it's on the DNR website, that's...
Yeah, it's on
I'm
the
not on that
DNR
website all the time.
It's called the Map of Original Vegetation of Minnesota, or MARSCHNER.
Okay. A lot of people are writing that down, so that's I saw that at a state park and I drilled. Oh, okay. Yeah?
We're talking about resources really quick. I think it's a University of Minnesota resource, but there is a soils map where you can basically just kind of put in your exact location and it'll bring up kind of the broad, what your soil type is like historically. So, another quick resource, just search University of Minnesota soils map, I believe.
I do want to, since you brought up insects, I would love to just ask for the panel to talk about pest things that you would recommend. I think that's a thing that people don't often think about when you're not growing vegetables. So if anyone has pest things you want to mention, I know Arthur has something he wants to say.
So, you guys are mean to insects, and you need to stop it. My wife planted columbine, and then it got eaten by a caterpillar. She was out there smashing them. When you smash the caterpillar, it breaks the life cycle of the parasitoids that lay their eggs in the caterpillar, right? And so what you need to do is you need to figure out this whole decolonizing thing and stop being white, because I'd like to remind you that none of you are white, right? You're something else that's interesting and cool, and white is not. And what that means is you have to share with the world, right? And so you have an insect that eats your beloved plant, and that's okay, right? And when you leave that insect on that plant, then some wasp comes in and lays its egg in it and begins this cycle of control that will keep the insects at a low sort of tolerable level throughout the system. Once you get the level of plant diversity that can support all of this stuff, it should normalize. And so you gotta stop just slaughtering insects, right? And that includes like, don't just broadcast your chemical controls and even organic chemical controls, neem oil, etc. You have to be very specific and controlled with this stuff, and be watching out. Like when you've got an invasive species, that's like the time to start smashing. And then the other part about the insect story is look at the parks that are around you. So go find your nearby park and find the human that manages that nearby park. Talk to them and figure out how to connect your space to that space. Because what we've done is we've chopped up the world and killed everything, and then we're now trying to repair it, right? And so what we need to do is make these contiguous systems. So we got to connect the dots between the spaces. And so find your things that are big and around you, your parks. And the awesome part about finding your park and the landscapers who are out there is they're going to know a ton of stuff. And usually people are super excited about telling you what they're doing. So find them and then figure out how to connect the dots and get your neighbors involved in it, right? And that will be really beneficial for building that insect community. And once you have that insect community, you have less problems, right? You should get less of these like, they ate all of my stuff, right?
Can I still pinch my Japanese beetles?
Oh,
yes, kill the Japanese beetles.
Pinch them, drown them.
I have heard that. I've heard that if something's eating your stuff, that means you're contributing to the ecosystem. So unless it's an invasive thing,
unless it's the damn Japanese beetles.
Yeah, no, we can get rid of
Yeah, I want to add on what you just said and say, stop being mean to insects except for invasive insects. So Japanese beetles, emerald ash borer, stuff like that, you can get rid of. But, well, you have
So one of the things about like even the emerald ash borer, right? Heinous what's happening, but out in Michigan, where it's been longer, they're starting to see massive spikes in 4 different types of birds, and there's a generalist wasp that hits them. And so when our system is diverse, it can handle stuff like this. And so like, I had a maple just die. We left the stump in our yard, so we have this huge stump, and it's full of weird stuff. And oh my gosh, have I seen a ton of the parasitoid wasp. In general, if you see a wasp with a big like tail coming off the back end, that's to lay an egg in something. And so those are your like, you see those guys, and that's like, that means that there's something that they're going into a stump and so those guys will wipe out your emerald ash borer, or no, nothing will wipe it out, but they'll
control
it. Yeah.
Anyone else want to talk about bugs before I get to? We've got 4 minutes left, so I'm going to try to get to a couple more questions. We could do this all day. James or Saz, if you have bug, insect.
I haven't had, for specifically Japanese beetle control, I've had really good luck with the traps you just buy at a hardware store. It's a little plastic bag. It's got it's a perfume and hormone lure. I cannot believe how effective this is. Yes, but.
What was the comment?
The comment was, don't they just attract more beetles? And yes, they have a really big range, so you really only need one of them. They've got like a 500-foot radius or something like that. It's big. It covers 2 or 3 yards worth.
So you give it to your neighbors.
You give it to your neighbors. Plant it away from anything that they like. Plant it away from your primroses. Plant it away from your actual roses, and it will lure them away. But like, we empty the bag every other week, and 2 years I've been using these, I have pulled out 1 spider and 1 firefly. Like, other things don't go in it. So yeah, I would recommend it. It's inexpensive, and you can get replacements cheaply.
James, anything you want to add to the bug discussion? I know you work at the park, so it's a little different for you. But
nope. I think I'm just going to echo that. Is like, don't over pest control. I think it's a system. It's part of what you're trying to attract. And not all pollinators are butterflies and really pretty. Some of them are beetles and weevils and things that you want.
Mosquitoes are pollinators.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I love this take. Okay.
Soldier beetles. Yeah.
It's just the truth.
It is
not a hot take.
Yeah, Truth that people don't want to hear. Is what it is.
Yeah, mosquitoes are pollinators.
You're an invasive species.
Oh, that's a hot
No. We're part of the ecosystem. Humans are part of the ecosystem, and we need to act like it. So the other thing, support your predatory insects, support your soldier beetles and your fireflies and your dragonflies and damselflies. Like, I am the biggest wimp. I'm scared of bugs, or they can roast me. Rightly so.
Well, and a great way to support your fireflies is get your oaks and then let the leaves fall.
Yeah.
Have like spots where you just let the leaves be, because a lot of the excellent insects you want lay their eggs on the bottom of a leaf, and then it drops down to the ground, and that's where it continues its life cycle. And so if you're all like doing that like Midwest breaking action, you're really doing a lot of damage to those native insects that live underneath the leaves. And so yeah, I think about like all the galls. There's all these like growths and things that get on your stuff. Just let them be, because they're really important.
So sorry, we have 1 minute left. So if people want to ask questions for our panelists after, I think that's perfectly fine, but I want to leave time for our panelists to say any last parting thoughts and or other panels you're on that you want to shout out. So we'll start with Saz.
I am on the Surprise You're in STEM panel later today. You can find me, I am on Discord. I'll give my Discord out if you come up and ask it. And I'm also on Tumblr. I do the plant logging at Porch Prairie.
I think I got it all. I'm good.
You got my thoughts. Are you on any other panels? Okay.
I'm on a panel at 3:30 p.m. tomorrow about getting diagnosed with autism or ADHD as an adult. So if you are for some reason still around at 3:30 p.m. tomorrow, come say hi. Also, you can find me and my gardening stuff on Instagram at natch.sadoff. I also have a blog called Room to Grow, run by Northern Gardener, Minnesota Horticultural Society. That's going to be at northerngardener.org. You can keep up with us. Also, plugging northerngardener.org in general for gardening and native pollinator resources.
No other panels for me, but if you're interested in like doing invasive species control in the parks, we do a lot of support for volunteership. It's a huge piece of how we make the natural areas better. We are very short staffed. So just go to the Minneapolis parks and search volunteers, and you'll find your way over.
Kill your buckthorn. It's
Kill
so
your
fun.
buckthorn.
If you kill the buckthorn, I'll give you seeds to put in its place.
Well, and volunteering is a great way
In the
to
parks.
learn.
That's
right?
what I was
So
just
you
gonna
go
say, yeah.
Volunteer, and you working with experts, and you can learn and grow, and you're doing something good with your time, and like it's a real win-win-win.
Yes. And then I'm on a panel tomorrow at 2 on reduce, reuse, recosplay, make stuff out of trash. Yeah.
Axeman.
There's a whole panel about it. Thank you all. Thank you all so much for coming. Sorry I didn't get all those questions, but feel free to come and ask.